Thanks. For those of you that have been to a bunch of these, we're obviously mixing it up a little because we don't want to we don't want you hearing the same thing in the same order at every one. So rather than going last, I'm going first, which is going to maybe throw me off my game a little because I like to gauge the room before I get up here and speak. But for some reason, George wanted me to go before him. I don't know what that was. Anyways. Appreciate being here and really appreciate the opportunity to be in downtown Orlando. One of the things that as I've gone and spoke to students and student athletes and administrators and faculty across campus as well as alums and people in the community, it's there's a couple of things that have really stuck out to me. And the first is, as Mark was running through his litany of UCF successes, when you start to connect the dots, you realize this is a really successful program. When you start talking about postseason play and Elite Eights and Conference USA championships and top 20 rankings and top 10 rankings and All-Americans and all those things that our programs across the board have achieved, and you look at who they beat, the thing is, for me, being the new person on the block that's really struck me is, with all that success, why is it that every time we win a big game against one of those other brands that may be known a little bit more than we are just because they've been around a lot longer, why is it an upset? Or why is it even though when we're ranked ahead of them? Or why is it considered something unusual? And it really comes down to we're the new kid on the block. I mean, despite all of our success, and I think we've always been that program striving to be at the next level, the next conference. Well, in reality, we're already there. We are already at the next level. We are already incredibly successful. There are a lot of schools out there with different initials on their chest that if they had the same success we had, would be very, very pleased with themselves. And so I think one of the things that we need to do as the UCF family is really rewire ourselves first. That we're no longer that program that's striving to be at the next level or striving to belong. We're there. We belong. We're already beating USC, and we're already beating North Carolina, and we're already beating UConn, and we're already beating Georgia, and we're already beating these players of the game that have been around for 150 years. We're just new. And so part of what's really going to be important over this next year is we've got this great opportunity because we've got this brand new platform to tell our story, tell the UCF story. And it's the Big East. And coming from the West Coast and having been out there for the last 9 years, I really forgot about the power of the New York media. I really forgot that platform is going to give us an incredible opportunity to talk about the successes of UCF. And I realized it when we went up to the Big East meetings, which was basically my second day on the job. But it's big. And so part of the thing that we got to do over the next year is prepare not only our programs and make sure that we're recruiting at the level needed to compete at that level on a national basis across the board, but we need to also be prepared with our story so that when UCF is given an opportunity to tell its story, that we got that story down and that we take advantage of this platform. And that we get to take advantage of the fact that for some people across the country, They don't know UCF, USF, Orlando, Tampa, where are you guys? That we're in a position to tell our story. And part of it is going to be also to make sure that our people are in the stands. Because you've got a lot of people in the Northeast that aren't really too sure what to make of us yet, because they just don't know us. And so one thing we want to make sure is that when they come down here thinking they're coming on vacation, that we show them that it's not the type of vacation they were anticipating. We got a great opportunity. The other thing that I've really noticed is anybody, I'm doing one-on-ones with all the staff and coaches. And for those staff and coaches that didn't go to UCF, they all say exactly the same thing, because my first question is, tell me your story, how did you get here? And they'll tell me where they worked, where they went to school, whatever. And an opportunity was presented at UCF, and they didn't know what to expect. And they got on campus, and quote, word for word, every one of them says, and I was blown away. Well, one of the things I've noticed about Orlando is I see a lot of tall buildings, and there's a lot of closet UCF grads in those buildings. And I have not met one person in Orlando that doesn't have a son, daughter, brother, sister, cousin, nephew, niece, you name it, that didn't go to school at UCF. Everybody in Orlando is connected to this institution. But if you haven't been on that campus in the last 5 years, you might as well have never been on that campus. So over the next year, we got to get our people back. We got to get them back on that campus so that they can see what UCF has become, what UCF is today. And ironically, this week was graduation, and so we had a graduation brunch for our graduates. And when you really think about it, many of those have graduated, so they're in the 4 or 5 years of their experience at UCF. That may be the first graduating class that will have the same experience at UCF that the graduating classes will have after them. We